Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Heads Together. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, your host, and here with my trusty assistant, Jennifer Wilner. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Bon. Hi, everybody.
Good to see you. It is, what is it today? September 20,
28th.
28th, Tuesday, a special episode on a Tuesday for Heads Together, a little discombobulated because last week was our first live class since March of 2020. It felt like flexing muscles that hadn't been flexed in a while, frankly. It was
Sure, sure.
it was really felt a little like a fish out of water bit, just a little bit. Hello, Lynn. Welcome. Happy to see you. Thanks for following us to Tuesday. Um, the the subject today is COVID-19 and vaccinations, and I want to tell the story about what happened last week that I think will be really helpful to our listeners as we go back into live events. Um, y- you know, there's still a lot of fear. I'm aware of that there is a lot of
Sure.
fear out there. I have to say that when we scheduled BTUA, Jen, I mean, you've been up on this calendar forever. We decided this last year that, trying to have a crystal ball thinking, well, by late September of 2021,
So
it
hopeful.
would be, we would be back to somewhat normal. But, that wasn't looking like the case. So, Vicki Evans and I had to really put our heads together. And yes, we had done several virtual classes in response to just what was going on with the pandemic. But somehow with September of 2021, it felt important to do it live. You know,
Yeah.
our students were wanting it. Our students were asking to be in a room together. And I felt, Vicki and I talked, and it felt really important to make it happen. Hello, Adrienne. It's a pleasure to have you here on the show. I'm telling the story about last week, and we decided to go to Houston, to a suburb of Houston, actually. Margaritaville is located in a north suburb of Houston, so we were not in the thick of downtown, which ended up being really kind of good that happened. Um, a month ago, I wanted to create a COVID protocol that was kind of up that not kind of was up to the minute. Reading about CDC, and I consulted two doctors down here in Jacksonville, Florida, about what should we be doing, in order to, the goal. What was the goal? The goal was to get in a room together with people who would be flying in from different places.
Sure.
How do you get in a room indoors and be safe? So that people walk in healthy, and my goal is I want them to leave healthy.
Yeah. Go
I,
home.
I'm asking people to fly across the country. I want to be able to sleep at night. So how do you do that? And I suspect there are many assistants out there who are struggling with the same kind of questions. Um, but the commitment that we made like 2 months ago was we were going to do this live. But how? So I went to two doctors and to get some consensus about that. And what we determined, what we started shaping and put in writing, which we sent to our students a month ago, was proof of vaccination. We wanted to ask that of our students as a non-negotiable, that to scan and send their proof of vaccination. In addition, on day one, we were going to do rapid COVID tests, those 15-minute ones. There are two different brands that are being sold by CVS and Walgreens, and they're coming down even further in price. But right now, they're
Oh.
2 tests in a box for $24. So essentially they're $12 a test, and they take 15 minutes to process. In addition to that, we had one of those handheld temperature takers that you don't have to touch. It's
Right.
you don't have to touch somebody. You just hold it up to their forehead or their
Or the
wrist,
wrist. Yeah, yeah.
and it
Everybody's
registers the
temperature is
wrist.
different.
So we said that if anybody had a temperature of 100.5 or higher, that they would need to leave. Um, so we crafted this protocol. But before I even sent it to the students, I happened to be doing a television interview in downtown Jacksonville. And while I was waiting for my interview, a small little television studio, there was a man there waiting to have his interview with the hosts. These are taped interviews for local business people, whatever. It turned out he was the general manager of 9 Jacksonville area hospitals.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought, well, this is happening for a reason.
Yeah.
And we were saying, so, what are you seeing and hearing every day, sir? And he said, he was pretty blunt. He said, I'm tired of deleting people from my phone because they're dying so quickly. He said that the hospitals, his 9 hospitals, are filled with COVID patients. And if they're on a ventilator, they better worry. That the variant he's seeing, this is his experience, it's so serious that if and that 99% of the people who are in the sickest conditions are the people who are unvaccinated. So that kind of cinched it for me. I'm like, okay, I feel solid about sending this protocol to our students. And in addition to everything I just said, in the protocol, it also said that we would be masked in the room and socially distanced. We fortunately had a big enough room so that we could be about 5 feet apart from each other in a U shape. So, talking about it with the team, which is what every assistant would do, talked about it with Vicki and talked about it with all of our team and talked about it with the hotel. And truthfully, we ended up losing about 4 students for varying reasons, several of them out of fear, still fear of what this thing is out there. Despite the protocols, some companies are setting down rules for no travel still. And here we are in September 2021. Another had a family member saying, please don't travel. And then one person said that they're not vaccinated and they do not intend to get vaccinated. So, as a result, we agreed that this was not the class for them and that they should probably go to be the ultimate assistant on demand, at least at this point in time. So it was really interesting. And, note to the assistants in the world that I live in Florida and the class was going to be in Houston, as I just said. And Jen, I didn't even tell you this. I had FedExed in the FedEx boxes going, with books and materials going from Florida. I had included all the COVID tests. And when we got to Houston, FedEx sends me a note saying that the shipment has been delayed. And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the class started on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We didn't get the boxes until like 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And talk about a heart attack. Because here's the thing, everybody listening, those COVID tests, as of right now, they're in such high demand. The rapid tests, the ones that you buy at Walgreens or CVS, their Binax or Quidel are the brand names. Those drugstores, at least in the places I've checked in Florida and in Texas, will only permit you to buy 2 boxes at a time as a person. A person can buy 2 boxes. That means I could buy 4 tests. So you see, if you've got a big class or a big group who you're trying to test, that is
Ask
going
all
to
your friends to buy one, buy them so that you have
But
them.
then they're out. They, the trucks come in once a week to deliver their shipment, and then they get out. So it's words to the wise of assistants, plan ahead if you need these tests, although the word is that they're going to get more plentiful. So Adrienne and Lynn, I welcome your comments, your questions as we move along here. So we get the box of COVID tests, thankfully. We did open them up to make sure we understood how to do it, because the deal was that everyone would arrive and do the temperature check and then agree to they all sent me. The protocol went about 4 weeks before the class, so I had all their scanned COVID tests, the proof of vaccination, and then on the morning of day one, Robert, my partner, he helped so much with getting the COVID test done, but everybody knew ahead of time what was going to happen, and then we all agreed to be masked. So I want to put on the mask that I wore. I got this at Staples. It's very attractive, I'm warning you. This is how I taught for all of day one. Jen, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. It's a little muffled, but I can hear you. But you still had a mic on.
So I was wearing a wireless mic here, like up high, but it's still, I tried to put on lipstick. I put the lipstick on the shield. It was so important, though, for people to see me. But
of course,
for everybody watching, this was tiring. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Adrienne. You're giving me kudos for the protocol. So here we did this on day one. Jen, put on your mask.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So this was me and Vicki, and then this is what most of our students looked like in the room. So I couldn't see their mouth, right? We had handheld mics. I'm going to take this off so you can hear me, but these are very affordable, $4.99 at Staples, and I'm glad to have had it to make people feel safe. But I would have to be putting a handheld, a handheld mic in front of your mouth, because it's hard enough to hear with a mask on, never mind, in a room full of people.
And this is a disposable surgical, and some of us still wear the cover one. So I had a friend who gave me these because they're pretty and they have flowers on them. But imagine if you had two. A lot of people wear two masks.
Yeah.
And try to projection you have to have.
That was the thing. In a room where you have people who didn't know each other and you're trying to communicate, you're just trying to communicate. You're trying to, have a conversation. I have to say it was a challenge with the masks. So, so what happened was we agreed that in the room, when we were in the workshop space, we committed to the masks. If we left the room, if we, to go down to the cafeteria where lunch was going to be, masks were optional for that. And of course, eating and drinking, and, you can't have a mask on for that. So at lunchtime, we were all sitting fairly normally, like you would sit at a restaurant. And so people were feeling comfortable doing that. So we went through lunch and breaks together. And by the time the morning of day 2 came, people had gone out to dinner together and, not wearing masks and being in cars and things like that. So we took a chance. We did something that we didn't expect to do on the morning of day 2. And I want to tell the story because this is real life here. Yeah, Lynn, challenge. It was a challenge. I have to admit, as the instructor, it's exhausting. It was exhausting teaching like this. And I have friends who are teachers, and I have great empathy for them. On the morning of day 2, Vicki and I made a decision to ask the class a question. Now, on the morning of day 2, we did temperature checks. First of all, everybody tested negative for the rapid test,
Right.
and we knew everybody was vaccinated. And so now we did the temperature checks, and everybody was fine. Before class began, we handed out slips of paper to everybody in the class, and we said, write a 1, a 2, or a 3 on this piece of paper. Write a 1 if you are in support of eliminating the masks in the room that day. 2, you're not sure. 3, definitely not. And we said up front, this is anonymous. You're going to just write it on a piece of paper and fold it up, and nobody will know what you said. If we get even 1, number 2 or 3, everybody would be masked, and everybody was cool with that.
Nice.
It was very democratic. And we got 100% ones.
Whew.
So people took off the mask, including me, and for the next 10 minutes, we had a very interesting conversation about it. The students in the room, the consensus was that they felt safe, that they felt like the precautions we took, that they welcomed the protocol ahead of time. They knew totally what to expect. They felt safe, that I had gotten the proof of vaccination. The COVID test made them feel even safer. And by the morning of day 2, it was, sometimes we had the door open, but there was a comfort level in the room. And I think it's important to say that the difference in the energy was palpable. It like, I could feel it. And I said, is it just me, or do you feel it too? And the students in the room all said that they could feel it. And I can say that the communication, the ability to talk to each other went way up when we were able to eliminate the masks. Now, I'm a big fan of masks when you're out in public and you're not sure whether people are vaccinated or not. I didn't bring it in. You know what else we did? Some of you who follow me on LinkedIn, we did what I call the wristband picture. I ordered from Amazon different colors of wristbands which said COVID-19 vaccinated. And it was totally optional whether people wanted to wear them, what color they had, that was up to them. And then I had the idea of like, let's take a picture of us with our wrists, just showing our support for being vaccinated. And oh yeah, thanks, Jen. That was our picture. And not everybody got into, was able to fit in the picture, but that's what happened very kind of spontaneously. I said, let's do this. And people were like, yeah, let's definitely, show the colored wristbands were the ones that said COVID-19 vaccinated. And it's still another way of making us feel safe. It's a feeling. Now, in truth, were we all 100% safe? Probably not, actually, because we still had hotel staff in the room. They were masked, they were gloved, but, not sure. And then we went other places. What is Marion saying? Marion, who was with us.
Right.
Telling the story.
This experience was an important new normal situation for those of us to consider when setting up an in-person event.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Marion, that's why I'm talking about it today, to talk about the difference between day 1 and day 2. And, the whole notion is that, life is a calculated risk. It's a risk to fly in the airplane to get to Houston, right? I was doing that. And you have this picture from memory of the time that we were in at this event. Yes, Adrienne, and I hope we won't have to do too many more of these kinds of pictures. But I felt, we felt it was really important to do a live event again, because after a year and a half, there had to, my thought was there had to be a way to do it. There had to be a way. We're assistants, for goodness sakes.
Right.
There had to be a way to do it safely. And, day 2 was a huge success. And our students felt safe to the point where it wasn't front of mind, where the goal was, why were we all there in the first place? It was to share information with each other. It was to enable assistants to learn things from me and from Vicki and from one another that would help them take their careers as high as they wanted to go.
Right.
And that's not possible if you're preoccupied with the idea like, am I going to get sick any second?
Right.
And that's certainly not something that would serve our purpose. One assistant was overheard talking to another assistant, and the first assistant said to the other one, "So why did you get vaccinated?" And the assistant answered, she didn't hesitate. She said, "Because I want to help people. I want to help people stay healthy and safe. And I don't want to be the reason why someone is in the hospital or someone gets sick." And I thought to myself, wow, that's such a typical assistant response, isn't it? Because that's what assistants do, is that we help people.
Mm-hmm.
We help people. And if that doctor was, the general manager of the hospitals who I met at the television station, he really, drove home the point, because, he was showing me his phone and, he showed me a message about how still another patient passed away. And he also told me, it was, you hear it on television, but somehow it's different if someone's sitting right in front of you and telling you a story like this. He said that he has been talking with patients who are very, very sick and begging him for the vaccination. And he said, it's too late. I can't, he had tears in his eyes. This guy is telling us this story. So, really, you can't make this up, nor do you want to. It's so here we are in September of 2021, and we got, day 2 was a big success, and then day 3 we moved spaces, and Vicki Evans was teaching technology in an even bigger space. So it was possible for people to really spread out. I think the whole combination of being able to spread out, knowing that people were vaccinated, doing the COVID tests on day 1, doing the temperature checks each day. And Marion actually did those for us. So thanks, Marion. Again, a public shout out, and a public shout out to Robert Sanders, who was helping us so much. So I welcome any of your comments and questions about this as we go back online. Jen, you made the comment that you haven't been going many places still.
The same places. I've been going to the same places, but not a lot of new places. So, I went to an event that's was pretty sizable with attendees, but not as busy as it's been in previous years.
Yeah.
But my core people, I have core people that I'm around every week, sometimes twice a week, and everybody's really, really careful.
Really. And what does that mean? Are you wearing masks?
Those are that feel that they need to, but a lot of times when we go into a space, it's our space. We're in a room where there's like nobody else except maybe the wait staff that's coming in. So,
dare I ask you, do you know if people are vaccinated or not?
I know who, I think I know who is. I know who is, who's told me that they are.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that 98% of the people that are with us are vaccinated. But my friends,
folks, and it really is going to come down to, the virus doesn't care. you know, who they're infecting, who it's infecting. You know, I keep hearing news reports how, you know, there's a lot of conversation in companies about making vaccination mandatory. I'm curious, Adrian, Marion, and
Mm.
Lynn, and anyone else listening on this call, are you seeing that trend? Is that that seems like where we're headed? I'm hearing it from professional sports. I'm hearing it from musicians and venues. Garth Brooks, for example, is, you know, only playing really small venues when they require vaccinations, and he's canceling. He's giving thousands and thousands of refunds. So Marion has a comment, Jen.
Yeah. The only reason we agreed. Whoops, where'd you go, Marion? The only reason we agreed to take off the mask is because we got familiar with each other and felt all on the same page in regards of vaccination. It takes an event more than one day to get to this level. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Marion. And, you know, our workshop is a 3-day workshop. So, you know, we considered this kind of a test balloon for future events. Adrienne, what can you put that back up?
Oh, sorry.
I get it.
My job is not done that yet, but I want them to. I think they're waiting for this latest approval, and now they can do that.
Yeah, I think that is where we're headed as we go into the fall, and, you know, the colder weather in a lot of part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just so interesting and, you know, Marion, you're here on the call, the difference between day 1 and day 2, and on day 2, to just feel the comfort level go up.
Mm-hmm.
And that enabled everyone to just learn to the max, which is the reason you're there in the first place. So I guess for assistance, it becomes about understanding what's the value of being in a room together? What is it that you're hoping to achieve? Welcome, Claudia. Claudia, this was my very attractive mask in Houston as I taught for all of day 1 in this. Not the most comfortable thing, but efficient and enable people to see my mouth. Claudia says her husband's company has mandated vaccinations. My company is considering it. Yeah, you know, that decision right alongside of the resignation tsunami, you know, people quitting jobs and the war for talent. What I'm hearing and reading is that more and more staff are wrapping their heads around the idea that we could get back to normal faster, it seems to me, and according to these experts, if there was a higher percentage of vaccination. And then there's some remedies, some pills on the horizon to treat it. But you know, those COVID tests I was telling you about, the 2 in a box for
Mm-hmm.
$24 that you can
Right.
buy at CVS or Walgreens if they have them in stock, that they're coming down in price to the point where it's going to be something that you keep in your medicine cabinet. That's what's being predicted, that we're all going to have them in our medicine cabinet, that if we suspect that we're sick, that we can always take a 15-minute rapid test and, you know, at least get with 84% accuracy,
Right.
if at least you can rule out COVID. Jen,
Right.
I'm sorry, what were you
Right.
going to say?
And it's the same one that if you go through the drive-through, like at CVS, it's the same test.
Well, yes. Wait, but the one that you drive through, do you have to sit in your car? I never did that one. Do you have to sit and wait for 15 minutes?
Well, it's like you get your results pretty quickly. It's not, it might not be, it's a 3-day. So it's rapid within 3 days. It's not that 15-minute one.
So this is 15 minutes, and the word on them is about 84% accuracy. It's kind of like, for those of you on the call who can relate to this, it's kind of like a pregnancy test where it's 2 2 pink lines for positive and 1 pink line for negative, so it's pretty easy,
You're like,
kind of
wait, that
no-brainer.
seems backwards.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, though. Jen, could you
No, I
pull
think
up
you're
the
right.
scroll?
Mary's
And Marion is
it's because uncomfortable and people
hide
hide
behind
behind them. Once the mask was gone, the exchange really started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so hard to, you can see crinkles in eyes and smiles, but for people who don't know each other, it's tricky stuff. My heart goes out to the teachers of the world. What is Adrienne has a comment here?
Adrienne said they have pushed off going back into the office several times. Was September, then October, now November. And when we do go back, you will not be assigned a desk. It's like hoteling. They have had us all packed up and boxed. We will have to clean a drop-in space at the beginning and at the end of the day. And if we do not need to be in the office, my manager wants to. It would probably not be until December or January until we go back in, depending on rates of increase. People,
Oh, girl.
right, going. We get it.
Thank you for sharing, Adrienne and Claudia and Marion. We're in motion right now. Jen, if you can put up the scroll as we conclude, it's not that we have all the answers, but I felt like it was really important to discuss what happened in Houston last week, because it really taught me a lot. And I think everyone in the room, it taught us a lot of lessons about humans and about how we are yearning to be with each other.
Sure.
If we can just get to a level of safety.
Right.
So on the scroll, you see that we're going to be in Colorado Springs in November, but we only have 2 seats left. Like literally, we're closing the class out at 30 people. If you're wanting to be the Ultimate Assistant on demand, we'd love to have you. And please save $300 by using that coupon code BTUA bonus OD. I'd love to talk with you about coming to speak or train at your company, either for the assistants and or for the executives and the assistants together, which I call building the ultimate partnership. So that's it for today. As we take a breath after BTUA Houston, so love to be in touch with you and to understand what's going on for you in your work and at your company as we figure this thing out. Jen, thanks as always for your help.
My pleasure.
And we will be back next week at regular day and time on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. For those of you who followed us to Tuesday, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to staying in touch, and just have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you next week.
Okay. See you next week, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Stay safe.